Now, consequences of Israel's military operations in Gaza continue to be seen in the waters of the Red Sea. Yemen's Houthi rebels have ramped up maritime warfare as they continue to target shipping vessels passing through the key trade route. The latest barrage of attacks. The rebel group has targeted 2 more ships which were identified as oil and chemical tankers. The MSC Clara and the Norwegian-owned Swan Atlantic were both hit by Houthi drones. The Houthi spokesperson revealed that the attacks were carried out when the ship crew failed to respond to calls from the group. So far, there have been no reports of serious damage or injury to the crew on board. The U.S. Navy deployed USS Carney at the Red Sea came to the rescue of the vessels under attack. The American destroyer responded to distress calls from a commercial vessel after the Houthi attack. The Norwegian company Inventor Chemical Tankers says that there is no Israeli link in any part of the ownership or cargo transport process. In the statement, the company further revealed that the information provider, Marine Traffic, has made wrongful claims on its website, saying that the ship is managed by a quote-unquote Israel-affiliated company. The statement elaborates how wrong information in the public domain could be the reason behind Houthis attacking their vessel. As attacks in the Red Sea escalate, there is rising concern around long and short-term trade impact of this maritime war. The Iran-backed Houthis control a key point in the trade route, the Bab al-Mandab Strait. As far as global trade and the shipping industry is concerned, so far 4 major shipping firms have either paused or suspended operations in the Red Sea. Close to 10% of oil exports are transported through this route. Analysts say that the rising attacks will delay shipments by 19 to 30 days as vessels are forced to reroute. Now, the move will trigger a surge in shipping costs, which in turn will impact retail prices of goods exported via the Red Sea route. Dr. Ian Ralby is a maritime analyst and is joining us from Baltimore, Maryland. Dr. Ian, thank you for making time for us. Welcome to WION World is One.
Thank you. Delighted to be here.
Doctor, U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin just made a statement in Israel that the Houthi attacks in the Red Sea and on their troops needs an international response. What do you make of that statement, and how much of a threat are the Houthis or even Hezbollah rebels at this juncture of the war?
This threat is enormous. As you said, the impact on the global economy could be absolutely catastrophic. If we look back to March of 2021, when the Ever Given was stuck in the Suez Canal for just 6 days, we saw a cost to the shipping industry of $416 million per hour. If we start looking at months or even longer term closure of the Red Sea to some of the major shipping lines like CMA CGM, Maersk, MSC, Hapag-Lloyd, all of whom have pulled out, we're looking at a global economic consequence that will affect every person on Earth. 90% of world trade happens by sea, and no matter where you are on Earth, your shopping is entirely dependent on shipping. And that's true of food, it's true of clothes, it's true of cars, it's true of everything. And our energy supplies are equally dependent on the maritime routes. And so the whole world has a stake in ending this aggression. And the problem is that the Houthis have now tasted global relevance and are perhaps less and less interested in being supporters to Palestinians in Gaza than they are to, in other words, ending up as a major player on the world stage because they have tasted power and they want more of it.
Dr. Ian, what if this attacks persists? What impact will that have?
Egypt alone stands to lose billions of dollars. They generate about $9.5 billion a year in revenue from the use of the Suez Canal. Saudi Arabia is heavily dependent on the Red Sea for its not only maritime trade, but increasingly tourism and access to maritime trade routes. And those two countries alone are facing huge economic consequences and huge regional consequences for their own stake and credibility. And so they are certainly going to be among the first to hopefully step up and try to do something about this, though they've had a long and difficult relationship with the Houthis already. But this impacts literally every person on earth. And so whether it is the US or the UK, both of whom have been involved in shooting down drones, or regional apparatuses like the Indian Ocean Commission's Regional Coordination Operations Center or the Indian Navy itself, everybody needs to step up and try to come to essentially a common approach to dealing with this threat to all of humanity.
Dr. Ian, Israel's defense minister has also admitted that they are finding it difficult to fight wars at the borders. What can America do to save Israel at the borders, you think?
Well, the U.S. equities in Israel are certainly complex, and what defines a border in Israel is increasingly a challenging discussion. Certainly, there is a greater call for clarity as to the right of self-determination among the Palestinian people, and I think that is an internal discussion that every state needs to decide for itself in terms of where it falls on that issue. But in terms of the wider borders with the Red Sea, with the Mediterranean, and with terrestrial states, there is a real danger that the aggression that Israel is using towards the Palestinians in Gaza may spill over under the name of a wider effort to rid the region of militancy. And so this Houthi aggression, as an initial spillover into the region, could really become a source of greater attention for states all over the world to become more actively involved. And we are looking at a potentially catastrophic conflagration if actions aren't taken very quickly to mitigate the Houthi threat and then be able to isolate the fighting inside of Israel to being a national issue rather than a full regional issue.
All right, I've been talking to a maritime analyst, Dr. Ian Rolby. Thank you very much for talking to WION World is One today.
Thank you.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.